All right, so if you hang out with Anusha and I on the weekends a lot, you know that we talk about self-care and maintaining your mental health. Well, for some people, a key component in doing so is actually going to therapy. Regular meetings with a therapist can certainly have a lot of benefits, but how can you actually assure that you have found a good one for you? Our friend and licensed therapist, Kevin Petersen, joins us this morning to help us out a bit this morning. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Hey, as we're talking about this, before we dive into any more questions, let's talk about how people can even go about finding a therapist, how they can get started in their search, Kevin. What do you typically suggest for people?
Well, when they're looking to how to find a therapist, the first thing I always say is, check psychologytoday.com. They have a wonderful search process of what's your insurance plan, what's your zip code, what are your primary issues. And then, of course, I would say tell them to take a look at our website, chronichope.us. We have a number of therapists that do a lot of different things. Great place to start.
Yeah, that's actually how I found my own, and a lot of my friends have found theirs that way. Let's go back a step even further before seeking out a therapist. Is there anything that people should really consider in that process?
Yeah, the thing I always tell my clients is, before you even come in, what I would say is keep a journal of what's going on in your life, what your issues are, what your emotions are, what your feelings are. Therapists love it when the client walks in and says, here's what's going on, as opposed to like, I don't know why I'm here. And that just, the therapists love it when you walk in and you have an agenda and it gives us a place to start.
I think a lot of people don't realize that, Kevin, that journaling is actually a way to get your thoughts organized so you even know where to begin with in the first place.
Yes, well, and one of the cool parts is that it's, every day you're going to put something down about what's going on, where you're at, where you're headed, what your feelings are. And that really gives direction to the process of therapy. And it can actually sort of speed it up a little bit too.
Right, absolutely. So when looking for that therapist, what are some signs that people should look out for when finding that right one for them?
I think the first thing is you want to make sure that it's a collaborative process with you and the therapist, that you're initially talking about what are your goals? What is it you're trying to accomplish here? Where are we going? What are we doing? And are we a good fit? Those are really some of the primary questions you want to be asking and talking about in the therapy sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, one thing I want to touch on briefly is the fact that it's not just up to the therapist to do the work. When you go, a key thing I tell all of my friends or anybody I talk to about this is you have to be honest with them. A therapist cannot help you if you are not giving them everything to work with, right?
Oh, absolutely. I would say that's one of the primary things that therapists get a little confused by with clients is when they walk in and for a number of sessions, they're talking about one thing and then all of a sudden we call it doorknobbing, where they reach for the doorknob and walk out the door and say, oh, and by the way, and then drop a bomb on you. And you're like, oh, okay, wait a minute. We could have been talking about that.
Right, right. And also it's a safe zone. That's the place where if you have these thoughts that you're like, I don't want to talk to anybody else about this. This is that person you talk to. I think a lot of people are nervous to talk to a stranger. I actually find it really comforting because you know nothing else about me beyond what's in this room.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really the best part is it's a safe place. Everything stays in that room. Nothing goes out the door and you can put it all on the table, leave all your cards there. And ideally, the therapist is going to create that space where you feel comfortable doing that and that you can actually get all those thoughts out of you and all those feelings on the table and you can sort of sort through them. I tell my clients that people are like jigsaw puzzles. The more you talk, the more pieces I get, and it's easier for me to put it together and help you.
Yes, amen. All right, Kevin, my friend, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Always love having you on the show. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, sir. Thanks for having me.
So therapy is great for your mental health, but also so is getting outside.